pass the stage over to Candy. So let's give her a virtual round of applause.
Thanks,
Stage
Ryan.
is yours.
In my mind, I'm multiplying those applause by thousands and thousands of people from all across. I'm coming to you from Toronto today, but I am Mi'kmaq from the East Coast. In fact, I hear that you heard from my chief earlier this week, Sashila Bilwa, who's also a cousin of mine. And I have connections and friends all across Turtle Island, so I hope wherever you are that you're safe and that you're keeping yourself healthy in these rough times. For the next half hour, I'm going to give you a keynote. So it's not going to be a comedy routine per se, but a keynote that I hope will help to raise your spirits and give you some perspective in terms of where things are in the world right now. I want to start, however, by just giving you a little background about myself so that you understand in true Mi'kmaq tradition who I am and where I'm coming to you from perspective-wise. So I am 52, just turned in December. And as I said, I'm from the East Coast, northern New Brunswick. My father was Mi'kmaq from Ilver Bar First Nation, and my mother was white from the town of Dalhousie. They married way back in the 40s, in the 1940s, at a time when mixed race marriages were not very popular. And in fact, my mother lost her family in the deal. And my dad was an alcoholic, and they had 6 kids in poverty and alcoholism. And then amazingly, in his 30s, my dad got sober. In fact, when he died, he was 51 years sober. And when he got sober, he bought 135 acres of land up on a mountain in the woods, moved the family up there, and started a Harley Davidson dealership. In fact, it was the first Harley Davidson dealership east of Montreal. And about 10 years into his sobriety, he asked my mom if they could have one more baby. They were in their mid-40s, and she said yes, and that's when I came along. So I was born in a very kind of unique situation. All my brothers and sisters were adults by the time I was born, and I had no children around me. The only people I was exposed to were my family and those bikers that used to come and go from the bike shop. And it was beautiful. The first 5 years of my life were incredible. I had every day I was told that I was loved and how special I was. And then you know how it is. At 5, they told me I had to come down off the hill and go into town to go to school. And things got a little dicey then. That was the first time I really kind of came to grips with race. And, you know, the first time I got called a half-breed and all of that stuff, which I'm sure many of you who have experienced over the years. But I found my stride in school and ticked right along till I got to grade 12 when I was getting ready to go to university. I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. I still don't. But if you read my bio, you'll find that I have been a human resource professional. I have been a lawyer. I have been a director of education with the Nova Scotia Department of Education. I've been a comic, a TV host, and a radio host. So I keep changing my profession every couple of years, and I want to talk a little bit about that shortly. But I want to talk about something that happened when I was getting ready to go to university. I applied to schools that had great volleyball programs because I wanted to play volleyball at university. And I got called to the guidance counselor's office. And the guidance counselor told me that I should be more realistic in my goals. This was about early to mid 1980s. And what I thought he meant was because I was a jock. And when I realized what he actually meant was because I was Mi'kmaq, that I should be more realistic because he said, you people don't do well at university. So I turned on my heel and I walked out of his office. And I thought, okay, you're on your own. My father couldn't read or write. My mother only had a grade 7 education, so I knew that they would not be able to help me. And obviously this guy was not going to be able to help me. So I went through with my applications on my own, and I put that guy out of my mind. And I've only ever thought about him twice more in my life. In my undergraduate degree, when I received my most valuable player trophy for varsity volleyball, I thought about him for a minute. And a few years later, when I walked across the stage as valedictorian of my class at Dalhousie Law School, I thought about him for a minute. And I realized that guy should probably be more realistic about his goals because he clearly was not good at what he did. But having that experience gave me a great gift. I realized at 17 that that guy had no idea who I was. He had no idea how hard I could work. He had no idea what kind of fire was burning inside me. He had no idea what I was willing to give up to get the things that I wanted. And then I realized that's true not just of him, but that's true of everybody. Nobody in the world knew that about me except me. So I decided right then and there at the age of 17 that I would always be the captain of my own ship, that I would make decisions and make choices in life based on my own assessment of my needs and my capabilities. And when I did that, it sort of opened the world to me because I then realized that anything was within my realm of possibility. And I know that there are some youth here. I know I've got people of all ages, including youth. And I hope particularly the youth will listen to me in this moment in terms of understanding that there are so many options for you out there. And you don't have to be on them in this second. You don't have to figure it out tomorrow. You don't have to figure it out next week, but just always be moving towards something. For me, I call it, I'm always running down a dream. And when I get close to it, I try to dream a bigger dream for myself. So when I finished law school, I was told that I would never get hired at a private firm in Nova Scotia's history because no Mi'kmaq person had ever been hired back. The hire back rate was zero before me. So I thought, well, that's what I have to do then. And I started my bid to get hired, and I was. I became the first Mi'kmaq hired back in Nova Scotia's history. And then I woke up one morning at 32 years old, and I was a corporate lawyer. And I said, what have I done? This is not what I want to do with my life. This fits me like a bad suit. So I thought, you know what? I have to walk away from this. My parents had told me when I was young, they didn't care what I did for a living. They said, dig a ditch, fly a rocket ship to the moon. That's your life. Those are your decisions. But what kind of person you're going to be, that matters to us. So they told me to picture who I wanted to be and to make decisions thinking I want to move closer and closer to her. So when I was a corporate lawyer, and that is a job that for a lot of people is wonderful, it didn't speak to my soul. So I knew I had to walk away. I waited till a Sunday afternoon when my whole family was gathered at home. I called home. I said, Mom, Dad, brothers and sisters, thank you so much for your love and support. I want you to know I'm leaving the practice of law to become a comedian. And P.S., I broke up with my boyfriend because I met a woman and I'm in love. Bye-bye. And I hung up on them. That was quite a call on a Sunday afternoon. But they understood that I had to follow my bliss. I had to go on the path that I thought was right for me because success is something you should define for yourself. Never let other people define for you what success is. For a lot of people, being a corporate lawyer, making all that money, that would be success. But it wasn't success for me. I did not feel I was using the gifts that I had been given. So I walked away. I knew I couldn't make a living right away doing comedy. So I actually got a job as the director of Mi'kmaq education with the province of Nova Scotia. And I pursued my comedy on the weekends and the evenings. And how did I become a comic? I started telling people, hey, I'm a comedian. Do you need entertainers? I'm a comedian. You could hire me for your event. I'm a comedian. I had never told a joke even once on a stage, but I just told people that I was. And lo and behold, I got a call from the Nova Scotia Human Rights Commission, and they said, we need a comedian for a conference of 200 people. I said, absolutely, no problem. And they said, how much do you charge? And I thought, I'll tell you later because the first one's free. The first one's free because I didn't know, like, will I be good? Will I be bad? I felt bad about charging if I was going to be bad. So I told them the first one would be free. I sat down, I wrote 20 minutes material. I went down and I presented. I got a standing ovation. People started saying, how do we hire you? I said, oh, just go to my website, thecandyshow.com. Then I went home and I called all the computer people I knew. And I was like, somebody has to make me a website. It has to be called thecandyshow.com. Thankfully, the domain was available and my website was up and running. And thus my comedy career kind of took off. But there was something that I really have leaned on most of my life, which I really love sharing with other people. Way back when I was 17 and I decided I want to be the captain of my own ship. I want to make the decisions that affect my life. I knew there was one really important thing I had to do to make that happen. I had to love myself. And loving yourself is hard work. And as Indigenous people, it is even harder because for all people everywhere, all day long, every time you turn on your television, you listen to your radio, you look at your TV, you look at your computer, you look at your phone, you're being sent a message over and over and over again. And that message is you are not enough. You are not pretty enough. You're not thin enough. You're not rich enough. You're not white enough. You're not dark enough. You're not enough. You're not enough. You're not enough. And what breaks my heart is everywhere I go, I see people believing that message. And that's a real sin because that message is a lie. You are enough. And I don't mean you're good, like you're going to be enough when you lose 20 pounds or when you quit smoking or when you get that next promotion. I mean, right here, right now, wherever you are today, joining me virtually, exactly as you are, where you are enough. Creator has given you everything you need in this one special, beautiful life that you have been given. And your job is to look in the mirror every day and to really get into that love affair with what you see in the mirror. And your job is to figure out what is your goal? What is your purpose while you walk on this turtle's back? Why are you here? And sometimes it could take a lifetime to figure that out. And that's okay. And here's the other news. You are going to fail many, many times. And that's okay too. In fact, I think it's necessary. I love it when I win. I love it when everything goes my way, but I have never once actually learned anything when I win. It's when I lose. It's when I fall down. That's when I start to learn things. I learn things about myself. I learn how resilient I can be. I learn things about others. I learn things about situations. I remember back when I was 4 years old, my oldest brother, Billy, he was 21 when I was born. So he was like a second dad to me. He was a great skier. And he told me he was going to teach me how to ski. And I was so excited. I wish you could have seen me. I had little blue glitter ski boots and a red bomber jacket, my fancy sunglasses, no front teeth because I was only 4. And I was all ready for my ski lesson. And my brother, Billy, who was a big bodybuilder, he leaned over and he put his big hand in the center of my chest and poof, he knocked me down into the snow. And I said, what are you doing? I thought you were going to teach me how to ski. And he said, I am going to teach you how to ski, sweetheart. But first, I'm going to teach you how to get up because falling is inevitable when you're learning how to ski. But he said, if you know how to get up, you will ski without fear and you'll be a better skier for it. Now, when I was 4, I thought he was teaching me about skiing. Now, 22 years after cancer took him from me, I realized he was giving me one of my greatest life lessons. I live my life without the fear of falling because I know how to get up. When I go down, I take the time to cry. I take the time to care for myself down there, to let myself feel sad for a moment. But then I start trying to get back up. But every now and then, I don't feel strong enough. I don't feel like I can. And when that happens, without a moment's hesitation, I put my hand out and I say, I need some help. I need some help here. And there is no shame in asking for help. In fact, it takes a lot of bravery to submit yourself to someone else, to say, I need some help. And do you know what's magical about the world we live in? Every single time I've put my hand out to say I need some help, somebody has taken it and helped me up. And I see it as my job. Once I get up and I get stable on my feet, now it's my job to look around to see who else might have a handout that needs a little help up. And I loved that video that kicked this talk off with the idea of us joining hands across the nation, because that's what we have to be for one another. You know, I was really, really fortunate that I grew up in a house that was a sober house. It was a loving house. There was no abuse happening in my house. And I know what a gift that is. I know how special that childhood was. But I also know that each one of us can be that for ourselves. We can be the friend in the mirror. And you know, loving yourself, it's like doing the dishes, friends. It is, that work is never done, right? You do your dishes today, you've got more dishes to do tomorrow. And loving yourself is that same way. You have to keep at it day in and day out. And things change. I have to tell you, at 52, when I look in the mirror, I see a lot of things that are different than when I was 25. And you know what? Every morning I get up and I look, and I still love what I see there. I love it all. I have become crippled up with arthritis, so I have a big scar down one side of me, and I'm all twisted up on the other side where I need my second hip replaced. I gained about 150 pounds since I've gotten arthritis. And still, I look at it all and I say, I love you. And I've made a deal with my body, this particularly for my sisters out there. I have made a deal with my body. My body shows up for me every single day, no matter what. When I abuse her by being sedentary, she shows up. When I abuse her by eating things that I know are hurtful to her, she shows up. When she's tired and I say we have to get on a plane and fly to a gig, she shows up. And in return, what I do for her is I make sure that she never, ever hears me say a single negative thing about her. Not only do I not say or think anything negative about her, I don't let other people say things that are negative about her either. That's the deal that I have with my body, because I know that the Creator has only given me one heart and one body. And that is the one heart and one body that I have to make this journey with. So I will respect them both along the way. That is something that we all have to learn, whether you're a woman, whether you're a man, or whether you don't identify as either. Loving yourself is such a primary part of what we are trying to do on this earth. And for me, it has made all the difference in my journey. And in case you're sitting there, I don't know where you are. I don't know what you've been through, you know. I don't know all your individual stories. I don't know what hard times you've had. And I certainly don't know what hard times you're going through right now. But I know you're here. You've made it. And isn't that a miraculous thing? Isn't that special? I mean, just think of how miraculous it is that you're even here. Of all the sperm and all the eggs in all the world, right? That sperm and that egg had to find one another at that moment for you to even be a thought. And then you had to survive pregnancy. Do you know what the odds of that are? 30 trillion to 1. That's the odds against being born. And you beat them. You're here, right? You made it. And like I said, I don't know what you've been through in the moment from birth until now, but I know that you've made it because you're here with us this afternoon. So if you can agree with me that the fact that you're even here is a miracle, then how could you possibly look in the mirror and doubt what you see there? And as Indigenous people, oh my goodness, what we have been through and we still survived. When I learned my history, that's when I thought I would go to law school, because I thought, holy cow, there has been legislation to try to end us. They've done residential school and smallpox blankets. Some of the greatest political minds in the world had their heads together trying to figure out how to end us. And here it is, 2021, in the middle of a pandemic, and we're still here. And we're still looking after the land, and we're still trying to share what we know about this land. That's miraculous. Once you realize that, you realize there's nothing you can't do. I believe you have to dream it, right? You have to dream it in order to be it. Once you dream it, though, then you got to go to work. You put the work in. And you accept that there are going to be times when you fail. There are going to be times when you fall down. And that's okay. You get back up and you get back on the trail. And maybe you're 60 listening to this. Maybe you're 50. Maybe you're 30. Let me tell you this. I graduated from high school at 17. I graduated from law school. In fact, I didn't even start law school until I was 27. I didn't start practicing law till I was 30. I told my first joke on stage at 32. I got my first television work hosting my own national show on APTN at 40 after I had a hip replaced. I got my first national radio work at 47, when I was asked to auditioned to be the new host of Q on CBC Radio after Gian Gomeshi was fired. I got my first book deal at 50, and I've just finished writing that book, which is a memoir about my life story, which will be coming out in October of this year, 2021. So I don't know what's going to happen when I'm 60, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be fabulous because I am constantly looking for what's next. I know it's never too late for me. My father was born into poverty that I cannot understand. He had his first drink with his mother when he was 10. He has a clear memory, or he's passed now. He had a clear memory of when he was 5, and the white man that his mother married left them. And the bank came and put a lock on the door. And it was a Tuesday afternoon. He always remembered that at 4 o'clock in midwinter in New Brunswick. And they had nowhere to go because the way the laws were then, she couldn't go back to the reserve. So she took her 5 children, the youngest of which was 2, and she went into the bush and she put up a tar paper lean-to and she kept her kids together. And with a draw knife that I have right there on my wall that she made herself, she made high chairs and baskets and snowshoes, and she sold them to the white people in town, as well as helping the white ladies have their babies. And that's how she kept food in their mouth and that little piece of tar paper over their head until she could find better shelter for them. That's how he came up. At 10, he had his first drink with her. She was an alcoholic as well. By the time he was a teenager, he was a full-blown alcoholic. He went to war. That did not make the situation any better. Yet somehow, in his 30s, he found his way to sobriety. He tried again and again. It didn't just happen the first time. He tried to get sober. He fell off the wagon. He tried to get sober. He fell off the wagon. But finally, it stuck for him. And after 10 years, had me. And at the end of his life, he got to see me graduate from law school. He got to see me get my television show on television. And I loved being able to sit in a room with him when he'd watch and he'd be so excited. And I'd say, you know, Daddy, none of that would have happened had you given up, right? Had you believed it was too late for you. Because he kept trying, everything that came after happened. So it's never, ever too late. Whatever you want to do is within your grasp. And this notion of, I love that this whole conference is about clean energy, because this notion right now of what we're living in with COVID and wherever you are right now, if you are feeling anxiety, if you're feeling upset, don't panic. Everybody is feeling that, trust me. This is, first of all, the 3rd week of January, which is a time when the blues kind of sit in for a lot of people. And we are entering our 2nd year dealing with this pandemic, right? And as human beings, we are social people, particularly as Indigenous people. We're all about our gatherings. In fact, the Alexis Nakota Sioux Nation had me film 3 public service announcements just before the holiday, trying to encourage our people to continue to observe washing our hands and staying socially distanced to protect our elders. So wherever you are, you might be feeling a little bit blue. Give yourself permission to feel that. Know that it's okay. We're all feeling it. Everybody's feeling it. I'm a person that wakes up in a good mood 99 days out of 100, but I'll say in the last couple of months of this pandemic, being isolated away from my family and away from my friends, there are days when I wake up feeling a little bit blue. And when that happens, I get in the mirror and I realize I have to be my own family. I have to be my own best friend in that moment. And I continue to have those positive talks with myself. Because to me, that is the glory of life. When we come through this, we will be telling this story for generations. We will be saying how we survived this too. And you know, I find there is a thing, people talk about beauty a lot. And they talk about when people started opening their minds about beauty, they would say beauty at all ages or beauty at all sizes. And I used to kind of snub my nose at that because I think beauty is a ridiculous concept. I think beauty is like dessert. You should enjoy it if you have it, but understand it has zero nutritional value, right? It doesn't mean anything. It's fleeting and fading. What is really important, what I wish people would spend more time on, is what's in here, is your soul and your strength and your character and your dignity. That does not fade with time. And for me, at this point in my life, at 52 years old, you know, my proudest thing is people say, oh, is it, you know, law school? Is it having your own shows? I said, no. I look in the mirror and I proudly say what I am most proud of in my life. And that is this: I can do hard things because I have been put through some hard times. And I bet wherever you are, you can look in the mirror and say the same thing. And when you know you can do hard things, and we as a people know we can do hard things, then all things are possible. So give yourself permission to feel that sadness for a little bit. Find something, find an outlet, find something that makes you laugh. I love to turn on a comedy on television or something that will give me a little bit of a giggle, because laughter is good medicine. I learned a long time ago how serious this funny business is when I was asked to do comedy for the Atlantic survivors of residential school, right? Find a reason to laugh. And if my words can bring you any comfort, if you remember nothing else of what I said in these 30 minutes that we had together today, please remember this: you are enough. You're absolutely who you are supposed to be. You're exactly where Creator has meant you to be. Your only job is to love yourself and figure out what your purpose on this journey is. And the rest of it is all gravy. So even though we're virtual, even though we're in separate cities and towns, communities and First Nations, understand this: I see you. I see every single one of you. And I acknowledge who you are and the work you are doing. And make no mistake, this work of clean energy, this is work you're doing for all of us, because this entire human race has to survive on this planet. And that's work you've chosen to do. So when you are having your love words with yourself this evening, give yourself a little extra love for the path that you have chosen, because it matters. It matters to all of us. And from someone who loves her space on Turtle Island, I say to you, thank you very much for what you've chosen to do. And thank you for taking 30 minutes to be with me today. Lots of love. Stay safe out there.
Thank you so much, Candy. And if you've been reading the comment section, there is so much love in there for you. And I was just so captivated. And, you know, I shared a video this week about being enough, you know, and the one thing that I got from you that is sticking with me is how much my body shows up for me, but I still say negative things to it. And
be kind to her. Be kind to her.
I'm not going to do that anymore. And I got so emotional listening to you, because it's like, without those role models, you know, that I didn't have, it's like, this is the role model I've always wanted, this message. And it's like, we know this as Indigenous people, we know this. It's like built into us. It's around us. The nature teaches us to love ourselves as we are. So I'm so grateful to you. And the beauty has no nutritional value.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that. You know, I'm going to go on social media and talk about how I seen you. This is where I'd be taking a selfie with you right now if we were
Perfect.
together. So,
thank you for sharing that with me, though, Maddie. I appreciate that too, for sharing that about your own personal journey.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna talk about you forever now, like, because I've never heard you share motivational talk. I've seen the comedy, but like, this is a whole, like, you just have this full circle balanced wheel that we're all trying to get to, and I'm just stepping into that power. And it's no accident that you're on my path right now, sharing this with where I'm at in my life. So everybody says hi, all my relations.
Wonderful.
I'm going to pass it over to Ryan.
Thanks to both of you.
Wow. First of all, super powerful. I resonated with it a lot. Super captivating. Second of all, appreciate it if you could share the fountain of youth with us all. 52? No way.
You know what it is? It's laugh hard and love hard.
Laugh hard and love hard?
I think that's the secret to it all.
All right. Yeah, I got chills. I got chills from that. I feel so pumped up now and ready to take on the rest of my day. But with that, I say thank you. Hi, Limlimt from my people. And Yeah, we're gonna wrap up our day.
Well, Alan, thank you for having me. I'm going to duck out now.
Thank you.